Hi, it's Joy, and today I'm going to be watching The Witcher Season 1, Episode 2, 4 Marks, and I have no idea what that means. I loved the first episode. I was kind of a bit wary going into it, not because I didn't think I would enjoy it, but just because I knew that it was a very sort of well-known world to a lot of people that I know nothing about, so I am still trying to figure out exactly what's going on. The first episode really made me consider desperately wanting to play the games, even though I'm much more of a simulation, like I play Sims, I play grand strategy games. I don't tend to play sort of, I can't even think what they're called now, my brain's gone dead. Games like The Witcher, but it does look really, it's just such an interesting world. I want to know everything about it. I think maybe there's books as well, so maybe I'll have to read those after the first season. But you know, I'm going to try to not worry so much about the different timelines, because I know I'm kind of trying to work out when things are taking place, because I'm pretty sure I saw someone say that they're all at different places. In my editing, I'm pretty sure that Renfrey, I believe was her name, said to Geralt that in that timeline, Queen Saranthra has just won her first battle, and that, I believe, was the grandmother of Kiri, I don't know. I only looked at the database for that, for her name. It's Kiri or Ciri, I'll figure it out when they say it again. So that makes me think that that's the future compared to this being the past, just because I do remember seeing people talking about the different timelines. But on the whole, I have no idea how it's all going to intersect. I'm pretty sure I saw some other characters in gift sets. There's at least one woman I recognise. I know nothing about what happens to her, I just recognise her face as being in The Witcher, and I feel like there's a bard. So that is what I'm looking forward to, getting back into this plotline. Geralt already is brilliant and fantastic. The fall of that city was really well done, because I felt it, despite the fact that, you know, it was the pilot episode of a show, people I'd never met before. But if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see the unedited version of this reaction and all my reactions up on my Patreon. That is for my top 2 tiers, and then if you go, that is also up to 2 weeks ahead. Oh, my brain, I'm sorry. Is episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 of The Witcher are already up on my Patreon, unedited. And then if you would like to watch the edited version a week early, you can check that out on my Patreon as well. That is for my 3rd tier. And they have got up to episode 3 already on my Patreon. And also Patreon is where The Witcher came second in my poll. It was voted for. So if you want to be able to vote in future polls, all 4 of my tiers are able to do that. And I will let people know via the YouTube community tab thing. Sorry, that was an email. When I'm doing a new vote. So yes, I am ready and scared. Let's go.
It's a surprise.
A surprise? What surprise?
You're gonna die.
Daisies are cheap.
Daisies are wonderful because of Daisy.
Kiss you. Right?
Oh, who's hiding in the shed? Is there a monster?
Smells of pig shit.
You've been spying on us, you creep.
Of course,
Oh.
look at it. No one's ever kissed that.
So,
Even stand up straight to do it.
so these two are monsters.
You leave me alone.
You've got no need to bully someone for being different.
Your family doesn't.
Hello? Oh, did she teleport? What's he doing? What spell is he casting? This is very interesting. Is he doing a shield or a portal for himself, or?
You can trust me.
Oh,
What's your name?
History.
okay. How is this going to fit into all the rest of the strands?
6.
4.
My god, and he values her as less than a pig. Men. At least
You can't let them have her.
her mother seems to care.
Won't go.
Ooh, her eyes change colour. I mean, she's got some pretty powerful magic in there. She can just learn to harness it. Oh god, how long has she been walking? How many? Is this the next day? Oh, I wouldn't drink from that, sweetheart. I really wouldn't drink from that. Oh, I was gonna say like a muddy puddle, but no, trying to make her hair look darker. Were they poisonous or are they good berries? She wouldn't know the difference.
Who's there?
Was that someone trying to stop her from poisoning herself?
You mean they're poison?
Well, this could be someone to help her.
I don't eat rat.
Oh, sweetheart.
Wait.
Yeah, I'm afraid you can't be so picky anymore. Oh, this poor child. She gonna give him her gloves? Yeah, 1 each. That's kind. Especially, like, that shows you that despite being a sort of spoiled princess, that she's kind. She's just not used to roughing it. Where is this now? I mean, it's a very cool place. Oh my god, it's the bard. I knew that this guy was in it. Oh my god, yeah, this isn't the most inventive song. So you know it's food.
A devil. He's been stealing all our grain.
Like a human devil or a monster devil?
I'll pay you. You take
So
no
this
prisoners.
seems like a
Over here.
good and trustful. Also, his reputation from that town is lingering.
Need a hand?
Oh god.
I've got two, one for each of these. Is that onion? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you smell of death and destiny, heroics and heartbreak.
It's onion.
Onion does have that kind of smell.
Butcher of Blaviken.
Yeah, that is not something he wants to remember. Read your audience. Okay, I did think something like that was coming. Okay, so there's other girls, which makes this look like a school of some kind. Did she sense her magic again?
Fringilla throws a cat.
On accident.
Magic is organizing chaos.
Ooh. Ooh. Cat frozen girl. Oh no.
And a take.
So if you hold the flowers, they'll wither. And you won't. This is a horrible way to teach. Oh, how's Argyle gonna do?
Some blood, Piglet.
What's her name?
Sometimes a flower is just a flower. And the best thing it can do for us is to die.
Deep. Oh, I want to know so much more about every single aspect of this show.
My name is Yennefer.
Yennefer. I feel like I've heard that. So what is...
No cutting!
By the queen.
May she rot in hell.
Your cloak. There are elf ears.
I killed them all.
Okay.
Last year he tried to claim Cintron land. My brother got an arrow in the brain.
Oh my gosh.
Every day I make sure his death's not in vain.
This is...
Fiona.
Not giving a real name.
In your little cloak. Fighting to defend that wretched bitch and her wretched family.
Mother, stop.
Oh
This
goodness.
is Calanthe's fault.
And your father died for Calante's selfishness.
Ooh.
Conflict after another. To order.
She's got so much to learn. Sheltering her is not good.
Oh, child.
Is she literally going to take somebody else's shoes?
Don't worry, he's one of the clean ones.
Ugh. So these people are all high and mighty and like, oh, that bitch caused us to leave the land, but she'll still treat different people like dirt.
I'd say you
Oh my
have a
god.
bit of an image problem. Geralt of Rivia, the white wolf or something.
She was right.
Do you mind if I hop up there with you? It's just I'm not really wearing the right kind of footwear.
Don't touch Roach.
I love Geralt already.
Geralt?
I like him already.
Geralt, where?
Oof.
Act 2 begins! What was there? It's like magical, this mythical...
Geralt's like, thank you, look, you've done me a favour, can we make peace and have a chat now?
You left out food filled with iron meant to poison me!
Oof. Oh my god, he ripped out some of his hair. Kill him. Sorry, no, I'm very killed for my hair. Oh.
You aren't, you can't stay here.
Neither can you.
Was he not alone?
Look into
Oh
her
gosh.
eyes.
Her eyes are so cool.
Come on, you can do it.
Been here for weeks and can barely do shit.
You managed a portal.
You'll get there.
Have some faith in yourself, even if that's hard
didn't
and
give up.
impossible. Have some faith in yourself and then you see what you can do.
Are these the things you love?
The rich always land on top.
Well, you're safe now. I've got you.
In so many ways, this woman's so kind, but only to other wealthy little girls and wealthy
I'm
people.
looking
Oh wow, so much in this show. I'm loving every second of it.
That's impossible.
No, it's magic.
Yeah, it's obviously not impossible if she's brought you here to do it. Oh, she's gonna die. Like, how is she supposed to do it? What is she supposed to do? Just magically do it? Is there an incantation?
Quickly,
Can you please tell me?
quickly.
Oh, I like them. They're friends. I'm trying to support each other, but do they just have to hold it up? And if they're powerful enough, it'll work? Apparently.
I did it.
Oh god. You've got this. Okay, maybe not. Did she, instead of catching it in the bottle, did she catch it in herself? Yep. I mean, pretty powerful if you ask me.
And then there are mages like us who are consumed by them.
This needs proper training and teaching.
You keep secrets. You succumb to emotion, to weakness.
She's been abused all her life, and you're hardly being kind or helpful. She needs support as well as
You
learning.
actually have what it takes.
Who's they?
Just a bard.
You don't deserve the air you breathe. Everything you touch you destroy.
I mean, that does sound like humans.
He's Philavandrel, king of the elves.
Ooh. Leader.
You was.
No, they chose.
Do you know anyone that would choose to leave their home?
I mean, yeah.
The lesser evil. No matter what you choose, you'll come out bloody and hating yourself. Trust me. That's the problem.
Geralt learned that lesson the hard way.
I can't.
There's such an interesting history here. Of course, humans drove the elves from their
I
lands.
understand.
Even chaos is polluted. Synthetically enhanced, so humans can make magic.
Also, a human's not supposed to be able
It's
to.
the same.
Elders worked with humans and got robbed of all they had.
Sounds
And when
again
they
like
fought back, they were
humans.
slaughtered. And now the humans proudly watch these very fields grow. Our babies fertilizer for their grain.
It's not how, of course, humans are taught. Because we don't teach the truth of history, we teach the
I was
victor's
once
song.
Philavandrel of the Silver Towers.
Then go somewhere.
Is there anywhere else? I agree with Geralt. Like,
Rebuild. Get strong again. Show the humans that you are more than what they fear you to be.
yeah,
He's different.
he is.
Don't call me human.
Humans do suck.
Worst fear is true. I'm still not an elf. Even for you.
Oh, sweetheart.
Dead elves.
Oh, God.
These elves built Aretusa.
And we stole it from them because humans suck. Oh, that's how she does the portal.
Greenwood only grows where elder blood is spilled.
Where did she open a portal to?
Wait, how did you do that on your first try?
She's good at portals.
I should go.
My real father. He was half elf.
Oh my goodness. She's a quarter elf.
Do you remember the Great Cleansing? Why I'm only worth 4 marks.
Oh, you are worth much more
No
than
one
that.
could ever love me.
He wants to honour elves so he could love you. Love you even more now that you're part elf. Oh, I feel like everything in this show is probably going to end in misery. And I'm stressed.
So far, so good.
You do with it?
Nothing. Simply wanted to know that you could control your emotions and get it from the boy.
Interesting.
You may go. Yennefer.
Ooh, so she's earned being called Yennefer rather than
Does this
Piglet.
really get to ascend?
It's definitely not good that she gave her the flower.
Even worse.
Ooh. They're both using each other.
She's part elf.
Yep. Oh, why is he so interested in the girl? Yennefer. They're looking for her. Sweet girl, run. My god, woman, like, you're literally under attack. Oh, I don't blame him. I mean, murder is bad, but things are desperate. I do not blame him for that. She's a scared little girl. She has magic. Oh, poor thing.
It's you.
Oh, rat boy. Please let me learn his real name. Oh, the sweet boy who was going to grow up and become a knight and save his family. Oh no. Oh, he's right there. There's so much happening in the show and I love it all and I just... What happens here when they ascend? What? Are they fish now? Why are they fish now? Or
You
snakes?
turned my friend into a slug.
An eel.
Are they not good enough? So they're not going to get to ascend, they're just going to become eels? If you fail at this school, you just get stuck as an
Take away
eel?
her control becomes the best thing a flower can do for us.
Oh my goodness, that is horrific! So yeah, if you're not good enough, they don't tell you that, they make you a conduit.
Will the elf king heed what the witcher entreats?
Ooh.
This history
He's writing his new song.
That's shit.
It's better than what you sang before.
God, for good.
You're an elf.
Ooh. That's why he didn't want to go in. No. I'm so glad she has a friend. And I'm glad he has a friend because he shouldn't be alone either. His story is probably not wonderful. That's the line I know. Oh dear. I love you. Be safe. Be happy. I just need all of those things are going to come to pass. I don't know why I said them, to be honest. This is not a good place to be. Whoa. So that's how they redo the conduit? Is that the corruption that humans did to it that the elves aren't happy with? Putting people in, or... Well, she's all proud of you now that you're like, complicit. But all the traditions and the sense of scale of this kingdom I love. Like, this world. I really want to watch more. It's going to finish. Okay, so that was another brilliant episode. I'm already absolutely in love with this show. The world, I can't get over how much I love it. I just want to learn everything. I think I'm going to have to look into the books just if they do any kind of expanding, and definitely look into the games. Especially some of the early ones are pretty quite cheap comparatively to new games because they're older, but oh my god, I love it so much. So I'll start with the plotline we ended on. We met Yennefer. Now that is a name, the minute someone said it, it rang a bell. I think maybe she's the person I saw. Like I said, I never focused on gift sets of The Witcher before I'd seen it. I would scroll past on Tumblr or mentions on Twitter, but you know, you can't avoid everything. So I knew of the name Yennefer and her face looks kind of familiar. But yeah, this whole like... So kind of tying in with her, you have to talk a bit about the elves. So this episode we really learned a lot more about elves and the fact that elves were the original inhabitants and humans came along and pushed them out of their land, forced them out of their land, tricked them into treaties or working together to get the land, which sounds rather familiar, unfortunately, to our own histories around the world with, you know, empires and whatnot. Obviously in an ideal world, you'd like to think there could be a way that elves and humans could come to work together, that new generations could acknowledge the mistakes they've made and try and make things right. But if we look at history, new generations are being taught, as we know, that the elves were like, see ya, have a nice time, I've got a great palace I'm off to, you have my land, a-okay. When that's clearly not what truly happened. So it's going to be, that kind of solution would be hard, but I think what was, I will get to the Geralt bit later, but with Yennefer finding out that found out about this great cleansing, genocide it sounds like, that took place perhaps at some point slightly after the land was initially stolen from what I've gathered, but her father was half elf and then he died in that cleansing. So I'm guessing her mother and was obviously her mother, but all those little girls we saw are just human. They were half siblings, and that's why she was abused by her father. That's why she was sort of, no one in the town stuck up for her, was because she was different, and not just physically appearing different, but half elf as well. I don't wonder how many people knew that part, but I mean, when you look back throughout history has not been kind to people with physical deformities. They didn't understand them. They didn't. I mean, today people aren't overly kind. A lot of horrible people, but back then they viewed it as all sorts of a judgment from God and whatnot. Like, because I mean, they were ignorant as fuck. But you can very much tell that she lived a truly miserable life, and everything at that school, it was fascinating. I really enjoyed all of the scenes, but at the same time, there was just such an eerie feeling to it. I can't quite put it into words, but that's kind of the closest I can get, because you could just tell that it wasn't like a loving environment. It wasn't a place where it was like you were supported and wanted and you can learn and thrive in the way that like we would expect a school type education to be. Obviously it wasn't a school, but you know what I mean. It was quite like, if they can't do it, you treat them awfully until they manage to do it. As we now learn that the ones that couldn't do it died, essentially, like they became eels to power magic for everyone else. Oh, wonderful. And you know, Yennefer was like, oh, best friend that I made in the pool. Now, Yennefer, I can kind of understand. I feel like, I mean, I obviously would have liked her to be like, no, this is wrong, free them. But A, there's a kind of a sense of tradition of this is how things are done here. B, she's been desperate all of her life to be powerful, to have control over herself and her surroundings, to be wanted and accepted. And in that moment, that is what, I know the actress, I cannot remember her name, the witch matron was offering her. She was giving her the chance. She wasn't turning her into an eel. She was giving her the chance to rise, to be one of them, to be part of it, and proud of her as well. So that, for Yennefer, would be quite alluring. Also the fact that she has formed, I do believe she's formed a real connection with Istrid, despite the fact that they were both using the other one. To an extent, because obviously there was the deception, but she trusted him enough to tell him she was part elf. I don't know whether or not she's told the witch matron. He gave her the secret of the flower, which maybe isn't a secret if he is secretly working with the men. I don't know. But I think it's really interesting that they are looking for information on Yennefer. So are they aware that Yennefer is exceptionally powerful? Is it because she teleported into that room that day that they know that she's not just your average girl, that she's got a lot of power because she's half elf? So it seems like there are two opposing factions, the women and the men, and they are potentially interested in Yennefer, and that they were both using each other, which makes it a little better given that they were both using each other, although potentially his betrayal is slightly worse because it was such a big personal secret to Yennefer, and if his entire interest in her is because he's been told to do it, then obviously that is a dick move, especially the more he gets to know her, the more he learns about her insecurities and thinking that no one's ever going to love her because of her appearance. I'm more than that, obviously, with her, but I don't know. But he gave his great speech about elves and how wrong they were treated, and we can all agree they were treated wrong. But it was also fascinating. So yeah, Yennefer is doing better. She's being accepted here. She is not learning the best morals. And I mean, she's fairly grown. I mean, she's still a young girl, but she's not like she's a little child. But at the same time, she's in that position where she's very impressionable at the moment because she's not really had a life up to this point. She's been treated abysmally. Maybe her mother seems to have cared a little bit about her, I guess, maybe more than a little bit, but you know, for the most part she's been ridiculed, mocked, ostracized all of her life, whereas now she's finally learning and feeling part of things. She's in a place where she could easily be molded into becoming a very cold person. And to be honest, a lot of people that get bullied and oppressed in that way, not a lot, obviously, a lot of them stay good, but it is easy to kind of go down a dark path because you kind of feel like, well, I was made to suffer, I was hurt, so therefore I'm going to do the same to other people. And I would like to think Yennefer is not going to go that way, and I'm not saying that she is at this point, but I feel like for her character, she could definitely be a character we could watch go down a very dark path, or she could be a character we could watch get a lot of empowerment and a lot of self-power, and I'm very excited just for her character and to see where it goes. And like The Witcher is not the kind of show where I'm like, if I was watching, I don't know, a fluffy show, I would think she was going to get the good way, but with The Witcher she could very easily become the darker side. But everything about that building and knowing it was built by the elves, just furthering our knowledge of the world and the lore of the kingdom, I love it. I am a massive history nerd, and fictional histories are just as good to me. I mean, okay, no, in a different way just as good. Like, I love it. yes, so then I will go to Cirilla, I guess she's calling herself. I said, oh no, I'm gonna have to unplug my phone because it's plugged in, and I said Siri and it was like, hello, I'm here. Cirilla, Siri, I presume she told, oh, I didn't write his name down at the end, the elf boy who's been helping her. Siri rather than Cirilla, because she knows that people are not feeling too fondly towards the family. I still maintain that I think the grandmother, while she may have been doing loving Siri in trying to raise her to not know the truth, the harsh realities of the world, the politics, and while she is still quite young, I think the age she's at now, she could have been taught a little bit. You know, maybe not every single harsh reality because, you know, she's still a child, but she could have been told a little bit more so that should something like this happen, she wouldn't be so lost in the middle of it all. She's not totally unable to look out for herself. I mean, we did see in the first episode that she was going into like the market by herself, but in her safe, stable town, where if she called for help at any moment and said, I'm the princess, someone would come rushing to her aid, is very different to wandering through the forest, but she's doing very well. You know, she's kept going. She was about to eat poisonous berries, but again, no one has taught her how to learn that, so I'm very glad she has got a guide who is knowledgeable about this. Now, I'm still trying to work around and figure out, I still think that potentially her plotline is in the future to Geralt currently. Maybe it's in the past to Geralt, but I feel like it is in Geralt's future, or it's running parallel with Geralt. But given the comment in the previous episode about the grandmother winning the battle, I feel like it is running parallel. She is in the slight future for him. So the elf, everything with the elves, perhaps given that we know that the elves have been fighting, that boy who died, his brother was killed by elves and then he murdered those elves in the battle, it implies that the elves are currently trying to fight back for their land, to take back land that lies within Siren's borders, which maybe suggests that in the future from the Geralt storyline the elves do reform and fight back, which I just kind of like make a peaceful arrangement, which is never going to happen. But, you know, if the elves have literally lost everything and then are being forced to sort of live in hiding and steal, and how could anyone think that that is A, acceptable, and B, that they're not eventually going to rise up against you? But there's very clearly a lot of very harsh race disagreements. The different species and races do not get on very well. But for Ciri, she managed to escape from keep hiding from the hunters. She was, you know, she showed that she is smart, that she has intelligence. Just because she's a little bit naive and worldly ignorant does not mean she's stupid. She tried to disguise her hair so then someone in part A, just being mud covered, it's not as bright, so she's not as obvious walking through the forest, but at a glance you might assume she was brunette and not assume she was the princess. I think it's good that we're kind of seeing these little glimpses that, you know, she has got so much in her that can grow into being a real strong woman, but of course she's currently a very traumatised child. A strong traumatised child, but a traumatised child nonetheless. You know, she's coping, and I think it was very interesting for her to come across, I mean, first of all, this camp of survivors, to hear them speaking against the Queen. Now, I'm intrigued about whether they were speaking against the Queen because the Queen failed and the kingdom fell, or if they were speaking against the Queen because there's a long-running resentment against the Queen. Like, maybe they sit there having banquets and we're suffering. I'm intrigued about whether it's kind of... I could very much see that because she failed and then the castle fell and everyone they loved died and they lost their homes, you could very well blame that on the Queen, especially if they were to know it was all about the princess. You'd think, I'll just give them the princess and then we can all live. But I'm interested in that. But for her to kind of get faced with that harsh reality that her grandmother is not to everybody some great hero the same way she is, but she was quick thinking, she told a different name, she didn't kind of go, oh no, I'm Cirilla, I'm the princess, but I'm innocent, I swear. But I think she really noticed properly for the first time the class division, the way that that woman was, maybe if not a noble, she was a rich merchant's wife. Because she didn't recognise Ciri, I guess she wasn't someone that would regularly come to the castle, but just to see the way that she was, without hesitation, caring and kind to Cirilla. She looked out for that girl because she had a pretty fine cloak on, and was dressed nobly. She gave her food, a place to sleep. She would have looked after her, raised her, kept her with them in that sense. Without hesitation, she forced her servant to give her the shoes, you know. but the way she treated servants, people that were different, and servants, lower class people, was despicable, worse than I guess anyone in Cyrilla's environment. Showed her again that there is a real inequality, and even within the camp, you know, people were barely getting by, and then they've got this lavish tent. I think again, it's very easy for her to sort of be pampered and maybe see like, oh, my grandmother gives alms to the poor, and, you know, she looks after people, so therefore, you know, we do our best for the poor, whereas that's not always the case. I think, awful as this has been giving her a really big awakening to the world, and it will make her in the long run a much better person and a much stronger leader. But there are many other ways she could have come to these realizations that would not have been as traumatic as, you know, that the serving man, I didn't ever catch his name, I don't think she ever gave his name, killing his mistress. Yeah, I mean, while I'm not pro murder, I kind of would have rather he'd like snatch a purse of gold and run for it. In all the chaos, no one's going to know it was him unless Cyrilla were to say. But she just, she abused him awfully. So killing her, she brought that on herself, to be honest. And he's lost everything as well. So yeah, I think it was very interesting, that kind of dynamic there. And then I'm so glad that the elf boy, rat boy, as she initially called him, came to save her, to protect her. That I think they formed a little bond when she was just, you know, him kind of just, he is clearly a good person because he saw a girl wandering around in the woods about to poison herself, and not only did he stop her eating the berries, tell her those are poisonous, he then cooked her rat despite the fact she was like, oh, I don't eat rat. I mean, I get that. If I was suddenly forced to survive in the woods, I would be like, can we try and, you know, find a chicken? But, you know, if you've got no other choice, you eat the rat. But I think the fact that she noticed his hands were cold, noticed he was trying to keep them warm, and gave him one of her gloves without hesitation, I think spoke to him and showed a reciprocal kindness, showed that, you know, this is not just some person that I need to be a bit helpful to for now. I mean, maybe, I guess he was taking her to the camp initially, maybe, because they walked in that direction. Were they just wandering, or was he trying to think, oh, this is a girl, clearly one of those refugees, I'll take her here but she'll be safe, and that's why he didn't go in with her. But I also think he didn't want to go to a lot of humans because he's an elf, and clearly they're at war with these people. And so then that's another interesting dynamic, these two being together. She is the princess of the kingdom that was fighting against the elves, and he is an elf. He seems to be an elf in hiding, on the run. Had the elves been, did they win? Did Cyrilla's people win the war and push the elves out of their homes again? I don't know. But that's just going to be a really interesting dynamic. But she was surprised. Obviously, she has never come across an elf. She's actually just spent some time with people that were like, oh, the elves murdered my family and I'm going to kill them all. Look at all these ears I've got. You know, a perfectly rational, sweet, kind, perceiving person, but collecting elf ears. So I think, again, there's just so much there that's going to be interesting to watch going forward. But she was just like, oh, like she was visibly surprised, and you could see that he was concerned. He forgot for a moment. He felt safe with her, I guess, and suddenly thought, what if she reacts badly? What if she tries to kill me? What if she starts screaming for help or something? I don't know what kind of prejudice he's come across, unfortunately, but nope, she was shocked. But then, oh, you're an elf, you know. I mean, if I met an elf, okay, if I knew elves existed but I'd never met one, and then I met one, I would be like, oh my god, there's an elf, I'm surprised. But I wouldn't be like, oh, there's an elf. So I think that's just going to be an interesting dynamic to see going forward, and I'm really glad that she's found someone who seems kind and good, and I'm excited just to learn more about him and his backstory and why he's wandering the woods helping out young girls that wander around. But I'm just stressed about where their story is going to go as well. So then we have Geralt, who has left the town he was in last episode. It's like Blenheim or something, and the story of that has followed him. He is known as the Butcher, I believe was the term. I mean, that is what Renfrey said, he'll never be able to escape it, the blood will be on him, the lesser of two evils, etc. That is a lesson that he not only learnt, but he has kept close to him. I do not know exactly, obviously, how much time has passed, time enough for that story to have spread to this place with its really cool building structures, to the valleys of plenty, or whatever they call them, some of the elven territory. I mean, I'm guessing if initially the elves had all the territory, did they then end up at some point having like, we've got this bit, humans have this bit, and then humans push them all the way out? Again, I want to learn more about this. But in this place that was clearly a very integral part of the cleansing and the forcing the elves from their home. And I enjoy that he took them, he was all willing to go and figure out what manner of beast it was, deal with it. When he found out it was a sentient living person, it wasn't like a brainless monster like the one he killed in the swamp, he wanted to let him go and just be like, well, you can't be here, this place is not welcoming to you, but leave. And then he could go back and say he killed the monster, but obviously there was a much bigger story there. So finding out really, like, not only, we'd been hearing a little bit about the King of the Elves in his golden palace, from the Bard, and potentially his name was mentioned by the people in the refugee camp, but it was definitely mentioned by the Bard. But that, just the elf story is yet another layer to this world. I love all of it so much. I'm in love with the show, if you can't tell already. I'm so scared because I definitely feel like it's the kind of show where I'm going to get attached to people and they're going to suffer and die. But I'm just already in love with this whole world. So finding that out, that whole scene was really hard to watch. I mean, just the way the elf woman was attacking them and beating them, obviously I'm not pro beating bound people, but you could see the depth of her pain that she was feeling in that moment. And I think just the way they kind of told their story of how they were forced from their homes, how they have lost everything. I love the way you saw it affecting Geralt. I love the way you saw it affecting the Bard. I mean, he is someone that has grown up being told, I guess, stories of the elves peacefully leaving, or like the triumph of the humans, that nothing bad, humans did nothing wrong, everything was fine, and potentially even sung songs to that effect. Whereas now he's learned the truth, and I guess I'd like to think from what we've seen, going forward he would not repeat those kind of lies that they were taught. And it's also for me, for Geralt to be so offended when they called him a human, because he has also been ostracised by humans. He has also been treated differently by humans. He has been abused just for being different by humans. He knows the worst sides of humankind. I do not know the history of the witches exactly, like if they used to be a plentiful people and now they've been wiped out, or if they were always quite like sort of just one or two around. But I think that scene was just so powerfully done. I'm scared when I'm editing that I'm just going to be sat here like because it was just so good. And then the way that the not devil, I can't remember what he was called, was able to get through. So, well, he didn't kill me, he could have killed me, but he didn't. He isn't like the humans. A human would have just seen me, seen my horns, killed me. And Geralt is different. But I think there will be humans who, if they were given all the information, would want to do things differently. There would be humans who, if they were given all of the information, would feel very badly about their past. I think we saw that with the Bard. He was not like, oh, humans did nothing wrong. What are you talking about? So that was a really powerful moment. And what Geralt said to him about, you know, go somewhere else, build yourselves up, show that you are more than what they think you are. You're not just monsters, or you're not just people that cower away in little castles, that you are a civilization that matters, you are a people that matter just as much as the humans. And I'm not entirely, I guess Geralt was meaning fight back, but I don't know that he would have wanted like a slaughter on either side, but I feel like maybe the humans are going to need a little bit of a show of strength, so that you can have a show of strength and then be like, but we don't want to fight you, let's just make peace and have like a fair deal or something. Or he meant just fight back against them because they're dicks, which also makes sense too. But just, I really enjoy Geralt's character. The way that he is constantly being stuck with chatterboxes he can't stand. I'm guessing the Bard's going to stick with him for a while, or at least come in and out of it, just because I feel like the Bard was in it quite a bit. Maybe that was the only episode he was going to be in. And maybe that actually could be it, because Toss a Coin for Witches happened, so maybe that is the only time in the Bard. I was expecting the Bard, and I think Yennefer's the girl whose face I recognise, but I don't know for sure. But the name I definitely recognise. But the Bard kind of just being this sort of cheerful, talkative present. I did really enjoy him so far. He better not turn out to secretly be sinister and evil. You know, he's not the world's best Bard, but you know, he's young, he's got time, he's got presence. Got promise, that's the one. And I really enjoyed his toss a coin to Witcher. Geralt's character, again, just, he is so desperate to just survive, to just get to be in peace and left alone. Obviously he needs to make money, so he needs to do monster hunting and things, and I'm sure that he does enjoy kind of being able to do good in the world rather than doing evil, but he hates the fact that he is remembered for being a butcher, for butchering lots of humans, for lots of people. I guess, you know, that's not exactly a nickname you'd give to someone who you thought was a chivalrous knight saving everyone. But I'm just so excited to see where his and Roach's story goes next. So I absolutely loved this episode. If you would like a quick reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the unedited version of this reaction and all my shows, including episodes 3 and 4, up on my Patreon already, or you can see next week's edited episode 1 week early, also up on my Patreon, and vote for shows in the future, and yes, all the rest of it. But yeah, I am in love with his show already. I'm so scared because I can feel it's going to hurt me. Thank you so much for watching.